engine.
The green flag is in the air, and it's time for the Speedway Line Report, presented by Shaler Acura of Manchester. Broadcasting from our WATR studios in Waterbury, Connecticut, and streaming live around the world, it's 90 minutes of auto racing news. Now, here's your host.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first edition of Speedway Line Report Radio. Gary Danko right alongside Rocket Rick Rotundo as we're set for another season on Speedway Line Report Radio. And, of course, right across from me, turning all the knobs, is Tom Graves. And, of course, you can listen to Speedway Line Report Radio live by going to WATR.com. And we're also streaming live at SpeedwayLineReport.com. So we got an action-packed show for you tonight. No question about that. We're going to talk about the events that took place over the weekend. Of course, Waterford Speedboat opened up their gates for the 2014 season. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about all the action over at the Thompson International Speedway. And as I mentioned right here, it's going to be a double guest co-host tonight with Tony Membrino Jr. and Ryan Preece. We'll get their take on the action from this past weekend. Of course, Ryan ran the SK Modified at Thompson International Speedway. He was also in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour event. We'll talk to him about that. And he also raced over at the Waterford Speedboat on Saturday evening, where he came home with a top 5 finish. Once again, there was Ed Pulio in for the win there. Congratulations going out to Ed Pulio, who picked up that win. And, we'll take your phone calls. We'd like to talk auto racing with you, 203-757-1320. This show is also being brought to you by Embroidery Works, Jim's Lawn Care Service, and Grotto Restaurant. Before we get rolling on into the show here, Tom Ormsby, former modified driver, and he is the webmaster of SpeedwayLineReport.com. Going back, guys, a month ago was a pretty scary situation for Tom. He had some health issues going on, and I like to say that he is home recuperating. And once again, I want to give our best to Tom Ormsby, good friend of mine, good friend to the radio show, and a good friend to racing. But he is doing okay, and once again, we'll take your phone calls if you'd like to give him a call, and he'll also take some get well cards as well. So why don't we break for our first commercial, and when we come back, we're going to talk auto racing tonight on Speedway Line Report Radio.
Shaler Acura in Manchester. Shaler is Connecticut's first Acura dealer. Shaler offers the area's best selection of new and pre-owned Acuras. Shaler Acura also offers extended hours for parts and service, open until 8 o'clock Monday through Thursday, and till 4 o'clock on Saturday. Come to Shaler Acura, 345 Second Street, Manchester, or visit them on the web at ShalerAcura.com. Nowhere else but Shaler Acura.
Nowhere else but Shaler Acura in Manchester will you find the area's best selection of quality pre-owned certified Acura automobiles. These Acuras are like new and a great way to enjoy the Acura ownership experience. Whether the sporty TSX RDX or a gorgeous TL, MDX, or RL, every certified pre-owned Acura comes with a 7-year or 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Check out the complete inventory at ShalerAcura.com or visit them at 345 Center Street, Manchester, exit 60 off I-84. Nowhere else will you find buying a pre-owned Acura easier than at Shaler Acura.
Opinions expressed on the Speedway Line Report do not necessarily reflect those of WATR management and staff, or the management and staff of the SpeedwayLineReport.com or VintageModifieds.com.
Welcome back to the Speedway Line Report, presented to you by Shaler Acura of...
Welcome back, everyone, to our first edition of Speedway Line Report Radio for 2014. Something different for us. In 2014, we're going to go 90 minutes. 90 minutes this year. We needed that extra half hour, so we can get scheduled more guests on, and certainly should be a great time here on Speedway Line Report Radio in 2014. Right alongside, of course, my co-host, Rocket Rick Rotundo from R&R Fabrication. Ricky, all set and ready to go again?
Yeah, ready to go.
Okay, great. That's what we want to hear. Did you get a chance to get out to any of the tracks this past weekend?
No, I didn't get a chance. I had some stuff to finish up. Still getting some of the race cars ready for the race coming up at Stafford. So, got a little stuff to do here and there. Just want to make sure everything's 100% before we go racing.
And as we mentioned, it's a double guest co-host tonight on Speedway Line Report Radio. Right next to you, Tony Membrino Jr., the 2013 SK Light Modified Champion from Stafford Motor Speedway. Tony, I know you've been pretty busy getting an SK Modified all set. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, a little busy is an understatement. It's kind of been the story of my life for the last couple months. But, yeah, we're getting ready to make our first jump into the SKs. It's pretty exciting. It's been something I wanted to do for a long time, and didn't really think it'd be something that I could do just because it's a big financial hurdle, obviously. And, it's a big step, and can't wait to get going.
How many hours have you spent at the shop putting this all together?
I stopped counting.
Right.
It's obviously it's a lot of work. It's a big commitment. It's a big change for us. But like I said, once we get everything going, I think we'll fall right back into our rhythm, what we've been doing the last couple of years with the SK Light, and I think we'll start getting into our groove, and we'll start really trying to make some strides.
What's your expectations going into a new division? Of course, let's go back a few years ago. You were the Dare Stock champion over at Stafford Motor Speedway. You did well there. As I mentioned, the SK Light Modified champion going back to last year, won some races. So now you're going to go into another division with the SK Modified, some great competition. Your buddy right next door to you here in our studio, Ryan Preece, has had a lot of success. Teddy Christopher, Keith Rocco, and the names go on and on. So let's talk about expectations.
Well, going into something new, I try not to, get too ahead of myself. I don't put it in my head that I'm going to go set the world on fire, especially going into what I am now. Like you said, this guy next to me, he's probably the best of the best right now as far as the SKs at Stafford, racking up a whole lot of wins over the last few years. And then you got Teddy, Christopher, Keith Rocco, Doug Colby, Rowan Pennick, Todd Owen, just the list goes on and on and on, and it's a stacked field. And you're racing against tour drivers, and pretty much. So it's definitely going to be a big hurdle, and I'm just going to do what I've been doing the last few years, even going into the Dare Stock and then the SK Light Modified. Just find my niche, find my groove, and I feel that it'll come to me. Maybe a little bit longer with the heavier competition, but I think it'll come to me, and I think we can. I think we can contend for top tens. I think that would be a good start for us, a good goal to set, and then just work our way from there.
Talk about the race car. This is not the same SK Light car that you had over the last couple of years. Totally different race car for you.
Yeah, we worked out a deal with Steve Greer, and we acquired his Raceworks chassis, the one that Woody Pitkat drove on the Modified Racing Series the last couple of years. And we've, stripped the car down, like we always do, put our own little touch to it, and we've been just putting it back together, and that's where we're going. We're running a TA engine under the hood. I couldn't have done any of this without the help of, my dad, Ed Flemke, Steve, Tony Altieri, Billy O'Sullivan, a lot of people, everybody on my team and on my sponsors that, came through or really rallied together to help make this jump possible. And, we're still got a lot of work ahead of us, but, like I said, I'm really excited.
Well, appreciate you coming into the studio. You're going to be one of our co-hosts tonight, along with Ryan Preece. Ryan, let's talk about helping out your buddy at Stafford this year. Can he come to you and you'll give him some help?
Of course, yeah. I'm sure I'll break him down a little bit, but we'll have some fun. It's always fun watching Tony, and we've been friends for so long. So anything I can do to help him, I'm always gonna be there for him.
Exactly. Let's go back. Let's go back to the Battle at the Beach in Daytona back in February. Good, strong race car for you, and you led what was 147 laps, and then there was problems. And for those that weren't able to watch it, of course there was a lap car that you got involved with, and that's really got to hurt.
It did. It was $20,000, so that was even worse, and winning at Daytona. But we worked hard as a team. We definitely found something in practice, and it was a team effort there. So it's unfortunate that the circumstances were the way they were, but East West Marine, Flamingo Motorsports, R&B Enterprise, Diversified Metals, everybody involved. We were all pretty proud of how we ran, and so what do you want to say, Ricky?
I was just going to say, I thought Gary was putting a little salt on the wound there.
Oh, don't worry, man. I've been asked that question so many times.
In regards to what, Rick?
Led 147 laps. You had a good run going. But
Well, they'll let the facts speak. I mean,
no, it is. It's just, it is a little salt in there, but I thought the race itself was way better than it was last year. They did so much more to actually make it a real race this year than they did last year. Last year I thought was a joke.
Well, I mean, everybody respected each other for the most part this year. The track was a little different where the corners, you weren't racing to the center and then, making it a drag strip. It was more of how a racetrack was raced, you know what I mean? But it was definitely a good race. Obviously, I was happy with it until 3 to go, but that's racing sometimes. Sometimes it goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't, and I'm looking forward to the next few weeks.
And, of course, a little bit later on, we'll talk about your race yesterday over at the Thompson International Speedway and the SK and the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. And as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, you also raced over at the Waterford Speed Bowl where you came home with a top 5. Other drivers that had a good weekend, of course, Saturday night over at the Waterford Speed Bowl, I mentioned Ed Pulio, the winner in the SK Modified. Keith Rocco picked up the victory in the late model division. Now, Keith, of course, also had a busy weekend. He competed in 3 divisions yesterday at the Thompson International Speedway. He competed in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. He also competed in the Sunoco Modified event, which he won, and he also won in the late model feature. But upon further review, Ricky, Keith was disqualified from the late model win at Thompson, and the car owner is disputing the findings.
Yeah, I guess there's a discrepancy that they're having the way the rule is written and what he had, I guess. But I guess we're going to talk to Fern a little bit later on, so we'll try to get a little bit more details out of what he is and what the rule says and stuff.
And actually, we're going to talk to him right now because he is on the line. Longtime car owner Scott Fern is now joining us. Scott, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Gary. How you doing, fellas?
I'm doing very well.
Hey, this is Ricky. What's happening?
And not much, pal. I'm having a terrible day.
I can imagine since yesterday not doing too great.
Well, on top of this disqualification and the headache I have from it, I had to cancel my trip to the Masters for this week down in Georgia so I could try and save what small reputation I have left.
Yeah, because I was reading what it was. It was about the flex plate there. You want to go into a little detail about it just so everybody could really understand what actually happened?
Well, we run the same flex plate we've had on the car for 6 years. It is a lightweight one. It's dimensionally the same size as a stock Chevrolet 153 tooth. It's made out of steel. Nothing exotic about it. It's a $79 part from Speedway Motors. The rule, as it's written in the ACT Tour rules, which are copied directly on Waterford's and Thompson's rules, it's a 6-word sentence. It says 153 tooth stock flywheel / flex plate. They believe, I talked to the folks up in Vermont, I've been on the phone all day, I talked to the folks up at the ACT Tour office today, and I was told on no less than 5 occasions that, Scott, the word stock in there covers my ass. Then we can make a decision. If it's not stock, we can use our own discretion. I don't know where you come up with a rule like that, but it is what it is. Furthermore, with Thompson being what I would consider one of NASCAR's flagship tracks, since when did they start deferring to a separate series not affiliated with NASCAR to make rules decisions? Because that's what happened is the folks at Thompson actually took photographs of the flywheel that came off of my car, the flex plate, and they emailed them to the folks up in Vermont to look at them today and then called them for their views and their decision on what should happen to us. And I got a call from Scott Tapley this morning about 10 o'clock. I don't have any personal problems with him whatsoever. We had a nice discussion, no screaming or yelling, and I expressed my displeasure, but he told me that we were disqualified. I cannot seem to get a straight answer from anyone on what I should buy to replace that. Because everyone says stock, and I say, you know, what's stock? Do I call a GM dealer and ask for something out of a 68 Impala, a 72 Camaro, a Monte Carlo, a Corvette? I don't know. Because it's a flex plate. It's not a flywheel. You have to mount a super clutch to it. And there's nothing in the rules that says no aftermarket. I've never seen a rule for any race car division in the country, any division, the lowest to the highest, that doesn't have a weight rule on a flywheel or flex plate. And there's no weight rule. So I'm kind of left wondering what I should even buy to replace it that's going to be deemed acceptable to these people.
Yeah, it's kind of a difficult situation that you're in because, like I said, most of the places that we go to that you race at, there's always a weight limit for the clutch, there's a weight limit for the flywheel, there's a weight limit for the pressure plate, there's a weight limit on everything that you get, and it does say in the rule book stock, but it gives you something to go off of where it gives you a weight limit. Now, if they wanted you to run a certain one that wasn't lightweight, you would think that there would be somewhat of a, you know, something in there saying that it had to be, you know, a certain one that had it, or you have something written in there saying no lightweight parts, or something next to the rule or something to say that you can't run it. Granted, it'll probably say that next year, but it doesn't do anything about it what's right now.
Well, I couldn't even get them to admit up there that maybe they could use some rewording, you know, even add a word, you know, no aftermarket parts allowed, or simply put a GM part number in there that you want to run. End of story then. It's cut and dried. You know, but they kept going back to the word stock is in there, so that leaves it to our discretion. Now, I don't know. I think, you know, besides me, of course, I think the fans were really the ones that got shortchanged on this, because who wants to go to a race? You see a good race, you see a winner, you see victory lane, all the photos, and then you go home, and Monday evening you find out that someone was thrown out. You're going to throw someone out. Go ahead and do it. They left my car on jack stands at the main service garage, the new one they have at Thompson, right in the middle of the modified tour garage. For 4.5 hours, my car was on jack stands. Why in the world does it take that long to make a decision? And furthermore, you guys have all been around racing for a long time. Have you ever heard of a situation where 5 cars come in from tech, they all go over the scales, the leader, the winner, my car, is told to take the transmission and clutch out of it, put it on jack stands, and the other 4 are told they're all set, they can load up. They just left. That was explained by Thompson to us today, that they were parked in the back, and the tech was done on their cars in the back. Well, I was told by people back there, and there's not a single one of those cars that took the transmission out. And if that was the fact that they were doing it as a gesture of goodwill towards those competitors, to let them be teched in the back of the garage, or in the back of the track, rather, half a mile away, how come the mini stocks, the SKs, and the street stocks, all 5 of them were teched directly next to that building? But the only late model that was mine. The only late model out of the 5 cars in the top 5 that had to take the transmission out was mine. Then they looked at the clutch through the bell housing, saw the number on it, and they said, your clutch is good, but now take the bell housing off, and we want to see the flywheel. Okay, all right, super. You're going to take it out. They take pictures of it, send it away. All I wanted was some guidance on what I could possibly buy that you would deem legal. I said, you folks can hold that flywheel in your hand and look at the flex plate and tell me it's not legal, but you can't tell me what is. It would have been nice to have a comparison against the other 4 guys that finished in the top 5 so they could make an educated decision on what people are running there. Because I can tell you now, that entire field has an aftermarket flywheel, and they're telling me they're not legal. They may not have been as lightweight as mine. I'm sure some of them are. But they have no way of knowing now because they told everyone to load up and go home. I know, and they explained to me in NASCAR that the leader always gets more scrutiny as an inspected more. I'm pretty sure that you folks, Ryan and Ricky, when you go to a tour race and you finish top 3, don't they check the same thing on every car?
Well, they do check basically the same thing, but you do run into situations where they do tech the leader more, but they usually do tech everyone. You don't usually go to the area and other guys get 0, and then the leader gets stuff done. There's only one racetrack that kind of does that. I can't even say it out loud because we're going to be racing there a few times this year. So do not want to create waves, but you do get, situations sometimes where it is different from the other competitors, but usually everyone gets some amount of tech. And if you're saying like even the mini stocks who had a mile away from where the tech area was had to do it at the tech area, why wouldn't the other late models have been in that same area?
That's exactly it. I mean, I have a lot of places I'd race before I'd bring my car to Stafford Speedway, but I can say one thing for them. They have a tech area that the top 4 or 5 cars go in, whatever it is from each division, and they stay there until they're teched. Not only that, the next car that's in line to be teched, in case someone fails, is parked outside the fence. And it's all done in the open in front of everyone. There's none of this, them promising you that they sent someone on the other side of the sandhill to check a car. Okay? It's just craziness. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, like I said, at Stafford, they have the top 3 go over the scales, and they have the 4th place car ready to go over the scales just in case. Because if one of them, if the leader, because what will happen is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place will go over the scales first. They'll park the 4th place car to the side, and if the leader doesn't make the weight, or if one of the other 2 guys didn't make weight, then that guy goes to the tech. But they have the guy ready right there just in case he doesn't make, someone doesn't make weight, this other guy's going into tech.
I mean, and it's not like Keith destroyed the field in the car and that it was a half a second faster than everyone else. I mean, if you look at the transponder times that came out today, Glenn Boss finished 2nd. Him and Keith ran the identical times. They never separated by 2 to 3 car lengths the rest of the way. They ran identical. No one killed anyone else. And now it seems Glenn's going to get the first place money, and Glenn's going to get the points. We're going to get nothing. And the only thing that I'm happy about is we got a plaque for it. We got a nice trophy yesterday. And you know what I'm pleased with is we walked through the grandstands on the way out, and I saw a couple kids and gave them both the trophy and the plaque. So no one's getting that back from me because I gave them away to a couple kids. So
yeah, we had a situation similar to that years ago where we got the trophies and they gave somebody else, but we already got rid of the trophies. But it's just one of them things where it puts a bad feeling in the whole situation there. And now, what is they're doing with the American Canadian Tour is the one that's setting the rules, so you can't go to NASCAR, you have to go to the American Canadian Tour?
That's the way I took it. I was told that we're following the American Canadian Tour rules for that division, which is all well and good. There's 18, 20 tracks now that are following that throughout New England and Canada. That's great. I don't know that that's a position NASCAR wants to get itself in, that they are going to defer to the American Canadian Tour to make a decision on the legality of parts. I should think that NASCAR, with the amount of inspectors they had at Thompson yesterday, they all had those new snazzy shirts and pants and jackets. They spent an awful lot of money on that. Maybe they should scrimp on the jackets and hire another couple inspectors that could actually tech a transmission themselves instead of having Mike Sangermano. I mean, I'm glad Mike was there to look at it. Otherwise, God knows what they would have found. They probably would have said it's made out of metal, so you're disqualified. Christ knows what they would have came up with. But, I mean, if you got to look at my car and have someone that builds transmissions for a living who happened to be in the pit area look at it and okay it, which Mike did, no problem there. He said it was great. And then you have to defer to someone up in Vermont on the American Canadian Tour not affiliated with NASCAR to tell you whether the flywheel is squared away. There's an issue there. So pretty much the only thing I can grasp that they actually inspected on the cars is it went over the scales and they looked at the digital pad and said it was okay.
Well,
other than that, I really can't comprehend what they did.
Well, as far as with the NASCAR, if NASCAR is part of your division, you can call NASCAR to get them to lay their decision on what's going on, and they could, because NASCAR actually does more than a lot of people think. If you call them, you got to be, I'm not saying you kiss their butt, but you have to be respectful. You call them up and you explain to them everything that's going on and you try to get in detail. They will make phone calls to like the American Canadian Tour. They will make phone calls to Tapley to get everybody's story straight to make sure NASCAR doesn't get a bump out of the situation, because I was in a situation where I had to call NASCAR. And I had to call NASCAR on the worst week in the world to ever call NASCAR, and that was 9/11. I had to call them on that Tuesday. That day is when I had to call NASCAR. Because I gave somebody Monday to get us situated. They didn't, so we still didn't have the win. I had to call NASCAR on Tuesday. NASCAR took it upon themselves within the next few days. By Thompson Thursday night, we got a win back from NASCAR. And nobody does that. Nobody gets a win back. And NASCAR...
I was thinking about that, but then, it gets down to, they're going to say that's a judgment call, and we're going to let the track make their judgment call. We're not going to micromanage them. So that's where you're at. But, like I said to Scott Tapley, he explained that they are allowed to inspect and choose who gets what inspected and what's checked on each car, or to inspect more on the leader or the winner. That's all well and good. The perception of a bias is there completely. When every person walks by, you see every other division, all the 5 cars stay in the same spot, and then there's only one late model left there. Whether it's a bias or not, whether there's something going on there or not, that's the perception that people get. And say, why would you do that? And I can tell you right now, anyone that's won more than 5 races, they get called a cheater, they get told they have traction control, they get told this, that, the other thing. And now because we have a flex plate that's a half a pound lighter, that's not, it's not banned in the rules, it's going to be a big headache now. I can tell you what, if you put Doug Colby in that car, or if you put Ryan in that car, or Keith, or James Savali, those are 4 guys right there that all get back to the gas 2 or 3 car lengths before everyone else. They're going to make everyone else in the field look stupid. And if you put some stiff that shouldn't be on the track driving the car, they ain't going to win the race. It's as simple as that. If you put Ryan or Keith or Doug Colby in that car, it's going to look like it's got 50 more horsepower than everyone else because they're getting back to the gas because the car turns. It's as simple as that. And we got to pay for it.
All right, we're talking with Scott Fern. He owns the late model car that Keith Rocco competes with over at the Waterford Speed Bowl and over at the Thompson International Speedway. So, Scott, when it was all said and done, over at Thompson, they didn't want to hear any more about it. That's it, final decision.
Yeah, that's the way I take it. They originally said they were going to suspend both Keith and I for an additional 2 races because of that's what the act tour suggested to them. And after Keith had a word in a discussion with some of the folks at Thompson, they decided that they were going to rescind that portion of it after we let them know that I was going to sell the car to Junior Woods this week and that Mad Dog would be driving it in the next 2 late model races. So they decided, you know what, we don't got to suspend you 2. You're welcome to come back.
What, you wouldn't hire me? I'd drive it.
Oh, you're a little wide there. You're a skinny little kid.
Yeah.
We'll see you down at South Boston. I'll give you another scoop, Gary, as we got a ride for Keith down there at South Boston, so we'll be seeing you down there, too.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, right.
And I can assure you it didn't cost $10,000 either.
It didn't cost me that either.
So, that's the Denny Hamlin charity?
Yeah, the showdown. I think it's on the 24th.
Okay. Well, appreciate you dropping that to us tonight on Speedway Line Report Radio. I definitely knew Ryan was going to be a part of it, but it's good to know that Keith is going to be a part of that, too.
Well, you never know. Keith's about due for another broken wrist now in the next few weeks anyways. We can always squeeze Ryan in that car. We'll make doubly sure, though, to make sure everything's on the up and up with it, because I know he's on the NASCAR Next program.
This guy.
Scott, Scott, thank you for giving us a call tonight on Speedway Line Report Radio and hearing your side there. Again, I'm not a tech guy. I'm glad Ricky was able to jump in there a little bit. And so the big question is, do you go back to Thompson?
I imagine we will. We'll have to see. To be honest, it's probably not for another 4 or 6 weeks, the next show there. We're only having a few this year, so we'll see how things go down the Speed Bowl, and as long as the car's in one piece, I imagine we'll be back down to Thompson.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your victory Saturday night over at the Waterford Speed Bowl. Looks like you guys haven't missed a beat from going back to 2013 where you won a lot of races and the championship.
Great. I appreciate the opportunity, Gary. Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome. Scott Fern giving us a call tonight here on Speedway Line Report Radio. Let's take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk to Woody Pitkat, who had a good weekend over at the Thompson International Speedway. We'll be back right after this.
There's nowhere else but Shaler Acura in Manchester.
He's nuts.
Dealer and
He was funny.
Remember, he's the YouTube guy.
Oh no, I know. I actually think I met him at the food shack because I recognized his voice. Yeah. He was the guy in front of me.
He's got a gut on.
No, yeah, but I thought it was him, but I didn't know.
Yeah. Like I said, NASCAR's affiliated with it. They will actually try to do something at least. Try to get you some.
All right, I'm gonna give you time when we come back. Let's get the soundbite from Justin. Before we're gonna call Woody. Yeah. Call Woody.
Like I said, I have
give me the thumbs up, tell him, hang on, Gary's going to play a couple sound bites. Then you're going to go in, and I'm going to say Justin,
Eric out at Waterford.
And then
they question the shocks.
Doug.
They question the shocks. I told him, Dylan's on. He goes, no, you can run them tonight. And then tonight they try to throw me out for it. After they just told me they could run.
Yeah. All right, now you guys can chime in here.
Oh boy. That was a good point you brought up about Stafford. That's exact. He knows that's the exact.
Yeah, they took my body off last year. They said I had traction control.
That's the exact way they do it. But I mean, like you said, the fourth place car goes over the scale because the top three are on the podium still.
2, 3, and 4 come across the scale. The fourth place waits until the winner comes across.
You know what?
And everybody does the same thing. I've never had a tech be
at Waterford with Tapley and with Everett. They usually do different things for the winner.
Yeah,
that's why I can't say
usually. I don't know if he knows, but they usually do the same thing for everybody. So, the race
2 nationwide races this year, right? In New Hampshire and Richmond. I think lined up for Richmond.
Everyone did the same.
No, it's one New Hampshire because there's only one nationwide there, and then the other one is Richmond.
Okay. Some of the Waterford used to try to pick top 5, and then 1, 2, and 3 used to do something, and 4 and 5 used to do something. So they didn't have to spend any money like gaskets or work or anything like that. They used to make them do carburetor or do something. So I mean, it's been done before where you do a little bit different, but everybody's usually in tech.
Welcome back to the Speedway Line Report, presented to you by Shaler Acura of Manchester, Connecticut.
Welcome back, everyone. Gary Danko here in the Waterbury studio, right alongside Rocket Rick Rotundo, Tony Membrino Jr., Ryan Preece. We just heard that was a drive-by by Scott Fern giving us a call tonight talking about the disqualification of his number 1 late model this past weekend over at the Thompson International Speedway. The NASCAR Southern Wheel Modified Tour, guys, they were in action, and Andy Seist picked up the victory. And I'll tell you, he's on a tear, Ryan, Andy Seist on the Southern Wheel Modified Tour.
Yeah, he's been pretty stout. I've been following it. It seems like him and Bertuccio and obviously GB3, they've been pretty strong. But I'm looking forward to going down to Langley and getting back on the Southern Tour and doing a couple races this year.
Hey, now what car? The family car?
I'm doing one race at Langley this weekend with my father's car, but then the other one I'll be racing the 7NY that Newman usually drives at Charlotte later on in the year.
Okay. And are you still going to drive for Bill Park down at Riverhead?
Yeah, actually, I was just talking to him earlier, so I'm debating next week if we're running Waterford or not, and if not, I'm going to be going over for the open practice at Riverhead to get ready, and it's going to be a busy year for sure. There's a lot of racing going on this month and a lot of racing going on for the rest of the month, or the rest of the year.
Right, and of course it was announced back a few weeks ago that Todd Zegedy, who was a former champion on the NASCAR Wheel Modified Tour, he's going to be able to compete in Parks's car when the Modified Tour rolls into Riverhead this coming season.
Yeah, he's excited. I know that. It was funny how that conversation went. I was supposed to go to there's a bar over in Long Island, Sophie's Rest, and I was supposed to go there, but it was the night before Atlantic City, so I ended up not going. But Bill Park asked Brian Slager from East West Marine who he thought would be a good fit to drive that car for the tour race, and obviously Brian said Todd, so Todd almost got the job done there the last year, and obviously that 20 car is no slouch. It's going to be pretty strong this year, and I've won the last 3, so I already told Bill he can happily finish second to me.
In just a couple minutes, we're going to have Woody Pitkat, who finished second yesterday in the running of the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour event. Ryan, this past weekend, you started 4th. You finished 9th in the Eric Sanderson-owned number 16 car. Take us through your day.
Yeah, we pitted pretty early because we knew we were going to get a little bit tight, and we just kept adjusting, and trying to make it better. And, sometimes it doesn't go quite the way you plan it, but, everybody stayed strong, everybody worked hard, and we got a top 10 out of it. So, could have been a lot worse. And obviously I can't thank Sly and the whole Flamingo team and everybody involved to get us out there and keep the car on track on the lead lap and do the best we could, and that's what we did. And we'll look forward to Stafford.
When it was all said and done, Justin Bonsignor put his car into victory lane. He was asked, it was a great race between you and Woody.
Yeah, that was wild. I hope everybody enjoyed that one. If they didn't enjoy that, I don't know what they're going to post on Facebook this week. But great car. Oh, my God. I was just hoping I wasn't going to be the guy to mess it up the last 25 laps. Knew I had a little bit better car. Kind of had to be aggressive, but everybody knows how it goes here at Thompson. The bottom shot's the only way you're going to get by. Otherwise, guys will keep driving in just as deep. Can't say enough. Them three guys, Spafco, Robert Yates spec engine. This is going to be the year.
Justin, what about the confidence going into the season?
We had a lot of confidence coming out of Florida. Some people say it's not that important down there, not a lot of cars, but a win's a win. Gets the morale up on the team, gets my morale up.
To have it pay off so early on in the season.
And then, when it was all said and done, yesterday, of course, Doug Colby, good, strong run. He would come home with a third-place finish. And here's what he had to say about just hanging around all day.
Yeah, that's my plan. I think you guys watched me enough. I like to either make it spectacular and run up front all day or kind of sneak in a good finish. And I'm really happy with this car. I mean, these guys have worked hard all weekend. We didn't have the best car in practice, and we worked at it, kept trying to communicate. Of course, this is new for us, and really proud of my guys.
Doug Colby, the 2012 NASCAR Wheel Modified Tour champion, talking about his third-place finish yesterday at Thompson. Other finishers that had a good, strong run. How about guys, Timmy Salamito, good, strong run?
Yeah, he looked pretty stout. I mean, I was watching it going on up there, and a lot of guys had a good run going, so it seemed like they were dicing it up pretty good. It was definitely getting rough, but everybody kept their wheels on it for the most part, and there wasn't too much wrecking, and if it was just a mechanical failure or something like that.
And now joining us, the driver that set fast time on Saturday afternoon. He was up front all day long, driving the Chew entry. Now joins us Woody Pitkat, who came home in second. Woody, good evening. How are you?
Hey, guys. How are you doing?
Doing well. Let's talk about your great weekend. Before we talk about the Modified Tour, let's talk about your the Sunoco Modified event yesterday.
Yeah, we went. I think we went in there probably not 100% because, obviously the car owner, Jimmy Page, had his hands full helping out Tommy Barrett and those guys there, Brad LaFontaine, with their frustrating weekend. And then my crew chief, Stevie LeMay, was helping Bobby Santos with their deal. So I know going in we weren't the top priority, which was fine. We were obviously I wasn't giving them being their top priority for me to drive their car. So we just battled. We did the best we could. I know there at the end I probably wasn't the best car. I don't know who had the best car. I know Ryan was better than I was, and I probably was holding him up there and was lucky there on that last restart. Keith kind of drove him up real bad there, and I stuck in there and got a second place finish. So we'll take it, and the car's in one piece, and we can work on it, make it better for when we go back there in a month.
Yeah, it was a good race. You had I know you were trying to keep it going. I was trying to push you to catch them so you two could dice it out, but it looked like it was definitely you were holding on.
Yeah, it was a handful. I know there was one time there you were pushing me down the front straightaway. I was pretty loose in and loose off. I was trying to put front brake into it, so I'm like holding it with one hand, and you're pushing me. I'm like, oh God, this is going to get ugly. But we managed. I know you're probably pretty mad there at the end because Keith drove you up there, so you probably wanted to get back to him. But all in all, it was a good race. It was it was good and clean, good hard racing, and Hot Rod Todd came over and congratulated me. So it was good. It was a good start for the season, and good solid finish, and we'll go on to the next one.
Woody, is this like the dream ride that you've been waiting for in your career?
Yeah, no doubt. Like I was telling everybody. I mean, I've been trying hard, and I kind of look up to Doug the way that he did it. To run 3 or 4 cars in 1 year and jump back and forth trying to get a good ride, and he finally did. And if you look, he got a good ride and ran really good and ran for a championship and won a championship. And I kind of feel like I'm following his footsteps. I worked really hard, tried to get into whatever I could to get into good equipment, and I feel like I really haven't proven myself on the tour. I haven't proven that I could run up front with Ryan and these guys and Silk and Kobe and all these guys that I'm friends with, I haven't really been able to do that. And that's my goal, is to be able to go there week in and week out and run in the top 5, run in the top 10, and be consistent week in and week out, and one day run for a win and maybe possibly for a championship one day. So that's the biggest thing I feel like I need to do, is prove to myself and to other people that I can run up front on the tour, because I've obviously done that with late models and SKs and everything else that I've run, but I really haven't done that in the tour yet.
And Woody, this is Ricky. I just want to touch base with everybody that's listening that you're in the Buzz 2 car. And what type of cars does he have?
He has all Troyer chassis with Billy the Kid motors.
And this is obviously your first year with him and everything else. And what are the sponsors that are on the car?
Obviously, the major sponsor is Buzz Shoe Chevrolet. And I asked my crew chief one day, because I didn't want to miss anybody, and he said Buzz Shoe Chevrolet, Buzz Shoe Chevrolet, Buzz Shoe Chevrolet. So that is obviously the biggest supporter. We got there's one guy in the back. I forgot it's the East Street Market or something like that. I forget. It's Billy. He brings the food. He's a great guy. He's real good friends with Buzz. He's a huge supporter. I know I said it wrong, but I'll get it one of these days. And then I brought Napa Talon. He's been with me for a very long time. I brought him to the car, and that's pretty much it. Performance Engines by Billy the Kid, and we just got a couple little guys. We're working on maybe another sponsor for some of the TV events, but obviously Buzz 2 Chevrolet is the huge sponsor there.
Well, with the way that you ran this past weekend, I think you better get the sponsors a little bit better lined up there, because you're going to be saying them on the PA after the race is over. When you're in the victory lane there.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, obviously that's our, everybody's goal is to go there and win, and I probably had a little bit added pressure on me to go there and win, because of the fact that we ran so good in time trials and practice, and he obviously wanted to finish the day off, and felt like we won every award but that. We won practice, we won time trials, we won best appearing, but didn't win the race. But all in all, it was a super day. It was a super weekend for me to be able to run that good and run up front and be there all day and have a good points day, a good finish, and I look forward to Stafford.
Hey, Wood, it's Tony.
Hey, what's going on?
No, I didn't get to make it to the race yesterday like Ricky. We were, both doing something different. But I got to catch it on the Fans Choice TV, and want to say that was a heck of a weekend you had to have. And we've known each other quite a while, and I got to say it was, you were pressing a lot of people, and I knowing you were probably all smiles throughout the whole weekend.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely was awesome. Like I told somebody yesterday, you kind of have a whole different attitude and a whole different feeling going to the track. Nothing against any of my other crew or car owners or teams that I've had before, because I was very fortunate to have a ride, every year, and they've been awesome. But to be able to go there and know that you're going to have a good car, and it's going to be under you the same, feel the same way every lap, and be consistent. And we practiced that 1 week there. We tested last week or whatever, the week before Thompson race, and then to go there and be just as good, it feels good and gives your confidence up, and knowing that you're going to be that good. So you go there and you do the best you can, and everybody knows that I've never been really a good time trial. Everybody thinks that you get to the point where everybody's saying you're not very good, and then you get down on yourself and you feel like, okay, maybe it is you, and then you're finally getting something that's, real good equipment, everything's top notch, and everybody's on the same page, and you go out there and you lay down a lap of practice, and it's like, all right, now I just need to do the same thing. And that's pretty much what I did. I had confidence that the car was going to do the same thing that I did in practice, and I went out there and just tried not to overthink it and just go out there and do the same thing and put it on the pole. So it was an awesome weekend. Like I said, it gives you a whole different feeling going in there the whole weekend. Your attitude's different, your confidence is up, and you can just keep building on that for the next race.
So definitely the communication between you and your crew chief so far, so good, right?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I went up there, a couple times. The race shop's up in Old Forge, New York. So we went up there over the winter a couple times. I tried to talk them into going to Daytona, and they kept telling me, we're not going to Daytona. Get that out of your head. You could come up here and go snowmobiling and have some cocktails if you want, but we're not going to the race. We're going to prepare for the North Tour. And, I thought it was all in all, it was probably a smart thing. But then, the practice got canceled, and I was getting eager to get going, and we ended up getting a chance to practice. Thompson, Josh Vendetta, and everybody at Thompson worked their butts off and did an outstanding job to get us to get there to practice, and it worked out great. And I think that we've with a new team, it takes a little bit of time to gel, and that's kind of what bit us yesterday with the pit stop, and kind of over adjusting it there, and we were just a little bit off there at the end, but it takes time, and I feel like we've gelled a little bit faster than I expected to be able to come out that hot. So I'm hoping to just build off of that, keep the confidence up, and just keep getting better and better week in and week out, and our win will come. I feel very confident that I have the best shot this year to win a race, and hopefully that day will come soon.
Did I read something somewhere over the winter that if you get 4 wins, are you getting a car or something?
That was a vicious rumor that somebody started. I don't know where that came from. I think it was something that got posted on Facebook that was supposed to get the buzz somehow. Buzz, the car owner there, is pretty close to Eddie Partridge, so I think they go to Applebee's out there in Riverhead like once or twice a week. So they're always talking back and forth, and I think somewhere along the line it got on Facebook, and it was supposed to, it was more to just get Eddie Partridge all fired up, and I don't know if that'll happen or not. I've been telling him I need a new truck every once in a while when I see him, because my truck I bought from them in October of 2001, and I still have the same one. It's got 435,000 miles on it, so if anything, I probably need a new truck before anything, and I keep telling them, hey, what do you think about a new truck? Oh, don't even think about it. You got to get that out of your head. And I'm like, no, I'm not saying for free. I'm just telling you I'm going to need a new truck eventually. So I think it's just, just a fun little thing between Eddie Partridge and Buzz out on the island there, just to get each other fired up and get going for the racing season. But, hey, you never know. Stranger things has happened. So maybe if, I can pull off a couple there, then maybe something else will change.
Well, we know things are going good for you so far out of the box with your new team on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. As we mentioned, you had a good, strong run yesterday in the Sunoco Modified, the 00 car. Now, what about 2014 over at Stafford Motor Speedway? You're going to be driving for somebody different in the SK Modifieds.
Yeah, obviously, Ryan's familiar with him. He obviously works on his Modified Tour team that he drives for there with the Flamingo guys, and I'm looking forward to it. I think Adam and his family, are very, very good people. I think they have, the equipment that you need to run up front there. They have good sponsors and good people backing them, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good deal. I think they've never really had, really good luck when they did race the last couple of years there and had a tough time. But I think it's going to be pretty good. I don't know. I'm pretty excited. I've been trying to win the championship there for a very long time, and to finally do that last year, I feel like there's a little added pressure off of my back to not have to worry about that no more. To wonder, okay, am I ever going to do this or what? Because I've been trying so hard. So to have that pressure off my back and go in there this year, not really worrying about it. I mean, obviously that's the ultimate goal, is to go there and win races and contend for a championship, but I don't think that'll be the most pressure on me this year. I just want to go in there and try to help Adam as best as I can, and try to go out there and get a win for those guys and run up front. I don't think they've ever been on the podium, so I'd like to be able to do that for them, and hopefully, get the first win for those guys, and just have fun. That's the biggest thing. Nobody is making any money in this. It's very expensive, with the SK and with the tour and everything. So to be able to go out there and run good and have fun with everybody, and not get all mad and angry and get everybody all bitter, and go there and have fun, and that's the biggest thing too, is to have fun. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good year, and I think it's going to be a good year with everything.
And, of course, Tony Membrino Jr., we talked a little bit earlier. Of course, he's been working hard over the winter months putting an SK Modified together. So he'll be going, of course, for Rookie of the Year honors. Anything that you can suggest to Tony?
I think he's pretty good. I think he'll do a good job. I know he's close to Ryan, so if he needs any help, he can talk to Ryan. Ryan's really good down there, and I think he knows getting in there. Obviously, you want want to be there at the end. That's the biggest thing. So, if you don't think your car's that good, don't try to start up front. If you got to start in the back and just kind of ride along and log laps and try to finish and be there at the end, you don't have to go there to prove anybody. We already know that you can. At least I know that you can go down there and do it. And he knows I talk to his father once in a while when I see him out on the road with the lunch truck, and we all know he can do it. Even his father's wondering, well, can he run with you guys? And I have all the confidence in the world that he can do it. So, just go out there, take your time, and you'll be fine. You can do it.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. And also on top of all that, I know a couple times when you're waiting for the SK feature to go out, I see who else but Woody standing in the backstretch in turn 3, kind of giving me hand signals and spotting for me during the SK Light feature. So on top of that and all the words of wisdom, I think I got a good amount of support between my team and also my fellow competitors, and a lot of Ricky, Eric, a lot of guys around, and like you said, it should be a good experience, and I'm looking forward to it.
No, it'll be really good. You got a good bunch of guys there with Eddie and all those guys down there. Like I said with Ryan, I see that you and Ryan are down there tonight. I hope you guys ain't going to do some big wing competition or something tonight, because you know how that works out when you do that.
No.
Tony won't do any more bets. He's lost them all, so I think he's given up on it.
I've lost all feeling after that.
Yep, he's either filled his belly or ended up the next day hurting his butt, so I don't know.
Well, Woody,
Dad,
what was that, Woody?
Called me Dad.
Oh, Dad, okay. Well, Woody, once again, congratulations on a good weekend. I mean, you had a good run with your Sunoco Modified at Thompson. You got the pole on Saturday afternoon for the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. You were up front all day long, and it's good to see you're in some good equipment. And it looks like a win is right around the corner for you and that race team.
Yeah, like I said, I'm very excited for the year, and thank you for having me. We're actually at Fenway Park now, so we're going to be walking in to watch the Red Sox.
Go Red Sox.
Yeah, go Huskies, too.
That's right, exactly. Woody, thank you, and we'll catch up with you soon.
All right, thanks again. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Woody Pitkat joining us tonight on this edition of Speedway Line Report Radio. In just a couple minutes, we're going to break for national news. We're going to talk to David Gravel, who runs on the World of Outlaws, just a little bit behind, and we'll try to make some time up in the next 30 minutes. And then, of course, we're going to hear from Monte Dutton. Monte will bring us up to speed on what's going on in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, the Nationwide Series, the Truck Series. He's also very knowledgeable when it comes to baseball, so we may throw a little baseball in there as well, but we'll pretty much stick to auto racing. Of course, today, the NASCAR Sprint Cup race that was postponed from yesterday from Texas Motor Speedway was run today, and Joey Logano picked up the victory. We'll talk more about that coming up a little bit later on. Don't forget, we'll be with you every Monday night from 6 to 7:30 p.m. right here on WATR 1320 a.m. We're streaming live at WATR.com and SpeedwayLineReport.com, and you can revisit any of our shows, even going back to the last several years, SpeedwayLineReport.com. Once again, national news is right around the corner. Speedway Line Report Radio is presented to you by Shaler Acura, Manchester, Connecticut, and also being brought to you by Embroidery Works, Jim's Lawn Care Service, and Grotto Restaurant. Coming up, David Gravel, Monte Dutton. Don't go anywhere. It's coming your way in just about 10 minutes.
Talk. This is 1320 AM WATR Waterbury.
Still trying to get it back, you got it.
But you heard him, I don't think he's even going to bother.
It's one of them things. It depends on how much you want to push. I understand where you're bored of it and stuff like that, but it's just one of the things where it depends on how much you want to push it.
Future in the House, but a spokesman for Speaker John Boehner says he is willing to consider the
All right, Tony. It's time to start the fire. You're going down.
I got more water than you do,
Financial
so
and tech stocks, the
you'll be in
Dow
trouble.
closing
I'll
down
be water.
167, the Nasdaq off 48. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Do you guys watch basketball or no?
Us? Tonight. Yeah, I haven't watched
This is the only time I watch basketball
Maybe
for March
tonight.
Madness. That's it.
See, my brother's a big. I mean, he's got season tickets to the
Oh,
guys
yeah,
and the
he's
girls.
big on the Huskies.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like it. I mean, I'll watch them, but I'm not like a diehard. I mean, granted, I'm glad that they've accomplished what they've accomplished,
Oh, yeah,
which is
definitely.
good. I'm a baseball, football, Red Sox fan. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. And, you know, hockey I don't really care about. NBA.
Hockey's okay, but the problem is that if you watch hockey on TV, it's not the same like going to the game.
Games are classic.
You have to go to the game.
Yeah, I've never been to
You gotta hear
games.
the hit, and you gotta hear the...
Never been to a Whaler or Wolfpack game,
No.
nothing like that?
No.
Man,
No.
Missing out.
I go to hockey games. You watch them on TV a little bit and stuff like that, and the playoffs and stuff. I mean, every once in a while I'll watch the highlights and everything. I watch all sports. I watch any kind of sport, really. I don't care what it is. I watch sports.
Can't watch baseball.
Oh,
Me watching baseball on TV is like me watching a cup race and I fall asleep eventually.
It's not too bad when I'm down my shop because I'll have it on TV, but I'm always doing stuff. So it's not too bad.
Hey guys, just so I did some homework here on the World of Outlaws because I don't know much, so I'm going to let David do a lot of the talking. But they got this new thing, if you guys want to throw that out, this new thing, it's called the Dash format. Which
I thought they've always had that.
No, from what I understand,
The winner of the heats go to a dash race?
Yeah, the way I read it, and I listened to an interview he did with somebody else, that it's some type of a new format, the way they're doing it. So
I don't know anything about it, but I know they've always had like a dash for cash, it's called.
Yeah. And Frank Manafort bought his engine.
Hey, because he's a loser, got a speeding penalty on pit road at the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wonder whose fault that was. Was the guy pushing him from behind?
Oh, why?
Well, it had to be somebody else's fault.
He
could
did
not
admit,
be
in the interview, he says, you know, they asked him what he thought of that, and he says, you know what, I think I was kind of pushing it a little bit too much. So I thought he was going to kind of go off on NASCAR, but he was pretty good.
I don't think going off on anybody ends up helping you in the end.
Such a bitch. Last week, the first thing he did when he got into that wreck, he blamed Casey Kane, the first guy he blamed.
Yeah.
Tape is rolling.
That guy's struggling out there.
For a couple
And I'm like, you're bashing the guy because he's
Because you kept pointing over there, and I was going over there.
And then,
Yeah, well, the tape was now over there.
driving to the Jersey barrier.
Yeah, that's why I was pointing over there. That's what it is.
Gotcha.
I can't
I didn't actually see what happened.
The wheels are turning, but I'm pretty sure it is. Here we go.
I like it. Still looks sick.
I thought you were covering up so I wouldn't see it.
No, I didn't. I just put my hand there.
Welcome back to the Speedway Line Report. Presented to you by Shaler Acura of Manchester, Connecticut.
Welcome back, everyone. Gary Danko here in the Waterbury studio, right alongside Rocket Rick Rotundo from R&R Fabrication, Tony Membrino Jr., who will be competing in the SK Modified Division this year at Stafford Motor Speedway. We're also joined by the 2013 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion, Ryan Preece. He also runs Sunoco Modified over at the Thompson Speedway. And, of course, he runs an SK over at Stafford. So it's going to be a busy season for Ryan. We heard Scott Fern, the owner of Keith Rocco's car, talk about the disqualification from yesterday's late model event at Thompson. That was a drive-by, so we're glad that Scott could join us for that. And we just heard from Woody Pitkat. Now we're going to give David Gravel a call. He runs on the World of Outlaws. He won back a few weeks ago at Merced Speedway. We'll talk to him more about that. Of course, David is from Watertown, Connecticut. Right now he's in California, so it's going to be about just about 5 after 4. Hey, Ryan, you got a chance to run quarter midgets with David?
Yeah. Way back. It's been a long time, but I see him every now and then when he's back here. We go karting or something, and it's a good kid. Obviously, he's making his way through the dirt series with the World of Outlaws. That's like running cup on asphalt, so it's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, and you guys all kind of take a different path. You took the asphalt path. He took the dirt path. I mean, Did you ever want to try dirt?
Yeah, actually, my spotter, Joe Scott Nicky, keeps trying to get me a 410 or a 360 ride to try out in Pennsylvania, and I'm still trying to let him try and get in one. They look like a lot of fun, and sometimes, I look back and I think what it would have been like if I kept on the midgets or the sprint car path. But obviously, I'm happy I stayed in modifieds.
Okay, well, now we're going to talk to a gentleman that knows something about dirt. He won back a few weeks ago at Merced Speedway in Merced, California. David Gravel now joins us. David, how are you?
I'm doing good, Gary. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I did say that correct. Merced, is that right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. I'm joined by the 2013 NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour champion Ryan Preece, Tony Membrino Jr., Rocket Rick Rotundo, and, of course, also in our studio we have Robert Baggett, known as the YouTube guy, and he's doing some stuff here tonight in our Waterbury studio. But let's talk about your season so far. Before we talk about the victory, talk about where it started for you in 2014.
We started in Florida and Ocala with the All-Stars, and we ran pretty well there, and we moved on to Volusia and ran with the Outlaws there and really struggled there, actually. And then we went to East Bay in Tampa, Florida, and ran some 360 races, and we struggled there a little bit, and the final night we finally had a good run, but that was in the 59 car that I'm driving for the whole year. But out here in California, I'm driving the Tyner Racing 83 car, and we've been doing the Outlaw shows out here.
Ricky, want to jump in there?
I was just looking over the racing schedule, and it looks like you guys race quite a bit. You got races like back-to-back days and everything else?
Yeah, it gets pretty hectic in May and June and stuff like that. I know we race probably 21, 22 times a month sometimes, so it's pretty slow right now, just racing on the weekends, but, you got to take it for granted.
Yeah, because, that's like most of our series. We just race once a week, and that's, we have different divisions we can go to with different tracks where you can race 2 or 3 times a week, but most of the time it's just, once a week or something like that, and racing 21 times a month, that's a lot of races.
Yeah, for sure. The normal Outlaw guy will probably run probably 70 to 80 shows, but guys that pick and choose and race all over, they could run over 100 times if they wanted to.
Now, David, you said that you race for 2 different teams?
Yeah, I'm just driving this car out here in California just to do these Outlaw shows so I can get some racing in. Frank Manafort actually purchased a sprint car engine for us because this team didn't have a motor, and I brought the motor out here, and now we're racing. I raced for this team last year at a big 360 show out here, and we ran well. So we wanted to race together again since we worked well together.
Now, let me ask you, David, do you think switching teams breaks your momentum?
If you go good in one car, you can't just hop in the other one and go good. But, sometimes, as a driver, you feel like King Kong, you're winning races and, just running well no matter what you jump in, you can run well with. But sometimes different cars, different motors, different shocks, different wings, sometimes it's hard to get going in a different car. So, I hope when I get back in the 59 car we could start off good again. But, you never know. Sometimes it breaks your momentum, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I hear you with that. Switching chassis all the time, going from a Troyer car or a CD car or anything. Yeah, it can be different. They all drive different, and you got to be able to adapt real quick. So I definitely know where you're coming from there.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Sometimes you're on your game, sometimes you're not. If you get the car close enough, the driver's got to do the rest. So as long as they get in the ballpark, that's your job.
Where you won back a few weeks ago, David, describe Merced Speedway out there in Merced, California.
It's a tiny little place. I believe it's only a quarter mile. I got a quick time new track record at 10.5, so it was a really, really fast track. At a quarter mile, we were wide open around the whole place qualifying. Slight bank to it. Nothing crazy, no walls in the corners, just on the front and back stretch. But tight little place. It was pretty much around the bottom the whole night, and it got slicked up enough where you could kind of run through the middle and right around the right rear, and that's how I passed a few guys to get up front. And yeah, it was just it was a good night. It was a night I won't forget.
Now, Dave, I'm looking at your schedule we got printed out here too, and I noticed it says most of it's wing sprint. Do you got any plans to do any wingless races this year?
As of now, no. Just because with the Outlaw schedule, you're literally racing, every weekend. So a lot of the non-wing races, there isn't many midweek shows, so it's kind of hard to fill in races from there. So as of now, no. I've only done 2 non-wing races, but the Outlaw stuff pays so much better than any other series out there, and usually non-wing pays less than wing racing. So, as of now, no.
Now, are you going to make any trips to Lebanon Valley this year? I know I want to try to get out there at least once this year, and maybe if you're there for the Outlaw show, it'll give me a little more incentive.
Yeah, I'll be at Lebanon Valley. I'll be at Middletown, New York, also that Outlaw show, and I'll be at New Egypt in New Jersey, which isn't too far either. So I got a few tracks that are semi-close.
All right, well, best of luck to you, bud.
Thank you.
We're talking with David Gravel. He runs on the World of Outlaws. Phone lines are open, 203-757-1320. Coming up a little bit later on, we're going to talk to Monte Dutton from MonteDutton.com, a gentleman that's very knowledgeable when it comes to auto racing. He's been covering it for many, many years, and he also knows a thing or two about baseball as well. David, before you came on, we were talking. I was talking with Ryan about this. Is the new this dash format? Is that new, or has that been around for a long, long time?
There's always been the dash format. I believe in the old days there was only a 6-car dash, but for the past 10 years there's a 10-car dash. And now they just moved back to the 6-car dash. So your chances of making the dash is a lot harder, which, makes the heat races and qualifying that much more important. So it's new now and years past, but I guess back in the day that's how they did it.
Ryan, can you imagine if they did that kind of format for the NASCAR Wheel and Modify Tour?
I wish they would do it. I even wish they would do it for the Open Tri-Track Series when we go to the Star Speedway, Lee, or Seekonk. It would make it interesting. I've always been a fan of the World of Outlaws and how they conduct races, so it always seems exciting.
Hey, David, I was also talking with Ryan and Tony, of course, and you came from the Silver City Quarter Midget Club like they did as well, and you guys all kind of took different paths. You went down the dirt path, and Tony and Ryan went down the asphalt path. Looking back now, are you glad you made that choice to go down the dirt path, or would you like to try some asphalt, modified racing?
I raced a lot with Tony and Ryan back in the day, and I know Ryan raced at Whip City and got to do some dirt racing, but I know his family has a background of modifieds and stuff like that, so, that was probably the best move for him, and for me, it was just, I didn't really have many ties in racing. I had a legend car that raced at Waterford, and I went to Whip City on the weekends and raced the micro, and I don't know, I just fell in love with the micro, and just went on from there. We traveled to Pennsylvania every weekend with the micros, and then got a sprint car. And I don't regret it. I think definitely there's an option to do asphalt stuff in the future, but as everybody knows, it's very expensive to do K&N races or truck races or late model races. So it's one of those things. I could see me definitely trying it for sure. And, everybody wants it to make it to NASCAR, so, that's always the ultimate goal. But if I'm running the World of Outlaws my whole life, I can't complain either.
Right, you're doing very well. As I mentioned, you're out in California as we speak. So right now, what is it, 3:15 out there?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you have any races tonight?
No, I race Friday. We just raced Saturday and Sunday, and we race next weekend, and then we head on to Texas.
Talk about the competition with the World of Outlaws, some of the drivers that you're competing against.
As everybody knows, there's Casey Kane Racing, Tony Stewart Racing, where they have just unlimited budgets, good drivers, big crews, big motor programs, and then, you got guys like Joey Saldana and guys at Donnie Schatz. Guys have just been doing it forever. They're so consistent. It's crazy. I think we've had like 10 or 11 races, and I think the top 4 guys in points have been in the top 10 like every night. So they're just so strong. They don't make many mistakes, and qualifying is so important. So that motor program's huge. And even if we only have 24 cars at the track, I would say 12 to 16 of them could win the race there. So even though sometimes there might be some low car counts, there's definitely no slouches there.
David, what's the purse like for the World of Outlaws? Like the race that you won back a few weeks ago. To talk about the purse and what you took home for first place.
A standard outlaw show is $10,000 to win, $800 to start, $2,000 for 10th, and usually guys that run with them a lot get tow money. So like we got tow money and free pit passes and stuff like that, and they give you like contingency awards for certain spots. So we got like $10,000 to win, like $300 tow money. We got a free Hoosier tire, and like I think $100 worth of contingency stuff. So it was a pretty good night. There's like midweek shows that pay a little bit less, and usually 2-day shows at the same track. They'll still pay $10,000 to win, but they'll probably be like $700 to start, and just pay a little bit less throughout the field.
Well, I'm glad to see you guys are getting you're getting taken care of by the series. And that was the tow money was something that made my ears ring. My father's told me stories about back in the Riverside Park days when he raced they got tow money just to bring to the track. They got free pit passes. They got the driver's pass, an owner's pass, and a ladies' pass. So one week the driver's wife, girlfriend, or whatever would get the pass, and the owners would get it the next week. And that's something I haven't heard of in a long time. And it's good to hear that some series out there, tracks or whatever, are taking care of the teams that are putting a lot of sacrifices and finances to support that series and go racing and put on a good show for the fans. So it's good to hear that you're getting taken care of like that out there, and it's wish more tracks and series would do something like that, because it doesn't get any easier no matter where you go.
Well, he chose right going dirt.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? NASCAR takes care of us, or takes care of me on the tour, and I'd say asphalt right now. It's making a comeback. Obviously, dirt's going real strong. David, you know that, and the Tri-Track Series, I think that might revive asphalt racing a little bit more.
Yeah, I think racing's pretty well. It looks like, the lower nationwide series and stuff like that are kind of hurting for, look at all the NASCAR guys driving, nationwide races now, and they're all up front, They're definitely bringing the young kids up fast, like Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney. They're not waiting for these guys to come up, so they're always looking for new people, and I think it's pretty good right now, but we know that NASCAR is super, super expensive and all that. It's just tough nowadays to get money round up, and as long as you got money and some talent, I think you're all right.
Well, David, thanks for spending some time tonight on this edition of Speedway Line Report Radio. Once again, congratulations on your victory back a few weeks ago at Merced Speedway, and good luck throughout the remainder of the 2014 season.
Oh, thanks for having me. I know you guys don't have many dirt guys on here, but thanks for having me, and nice talking to Tony and Ryan again, and I'm sure I'll see you guys around.
Okay. Thanks, David.
All right, thank you.
David Gravel joining us tonight on this edition of Speedway Line Report Radio. This show is also being brought to you by J.M. Montesano Auto Body Works. They are specialists in auto collision. All work is guaranteed. Located at 390 Lombard Street in New Haven, Connecticut. You can give them a call, 203-865-1389. J.M. Montesano Auto Body Works. I've seen their work, and it is absolutely fantastic. And like I said, they are specialists in auto collision. And once again, all of their work is guaranteed. So if you live in and around the New Haven area and you need auto body work done to your car, I suggest J.M. Montesano Auto Body Works. Once again, 390 Lombard Street in New Haven, Connecticut. And Ricky Rotundo, How about Jim's Lawn Care Service out of Cheshire, Connecticut? Does a great job, takes care of my yard. He's got to get over there and start putting some fertilizer down and some other things, but that's another story. But he does do a great job, and, of course, he's right out of Cheshire, Connecticut. You can give him a call, 203-272-2054 for Jim's Lawn Care Service of Cheshire.
Yeah, he was down my shop yesterday and Saturday and last week. He wanted to make sure I said hi and that he was at Waterford this week also. So, yep, he's back racing again also, back to the racetrack.
And, of course, right down the road from us here in Waterbury, Connecticut, the Grotto Restaurant, serving fine Italian food, whether it's eat-in or take-out. And once again, they're located at 634 Watertown Avenue in Waterbury, Connecticut, only 2 minutes from the I-84 Route 8 interchange. Home-style pastas and sauces, the Grotto Restaurant. So we're going to get Monte Dutton on the line, and we're going to talk to Monte about what's going on in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, of course, the Camping World Truck Series, and, of course, the Nationwide Series. So we'll talk to him for a few minutes about that. We'll get his take. And, of course, Ricky, he joined us, 3 or 4 times last year, and, of course, always brings us up to speed on something in those 3 series.
Yeah, he's always got something interesting to say, and he's always got a little tidbit that we don't know nothing about. So it'll be interesting to see what he got now.
And you can check out his work at montedutton.com. Once again, running a little bit behind tonight here, and certainly glad the guest that we had on tonight. Of course, it started out with Scott Fern in the drive-by. And then, of course, we heard from Woody Pitkat. We just heard from David Gravel. And we're going to get Monte Dutton on the line here and talk to him. And, of course, great to see Ryan Preece and Tony Membrino Jr. And, Ryan, let's while we're waiting for Monte Dutton, I mentioned that you raced Waterford Speedboat on Saturday night, the event that Ed Pulio won. Keith Rocca was second. I believe Craig Lutz was third. And you were somewhere, were you fourth or fifth?
I was fourth. It was pretty cool. It was Keith's home track. That's pretty much where he's dominated for the past few years. So hopefully I'm going to be I'll be there Sunday after Langley. I'm going to drive all the way home to race there this Sunday and maybe a couple more times. So we'll see if we can get a win and keep Keith behind us.
Right, that was the blast-off that got postponed back from a few weeks ago.
Yep, yeah, so it's going to be exciting stuff.
Okay, Monte Dutton is on the line. Monte, I appreciate running a little bit behind tonight on Speedway Line Report Radio, but first of all, how are you?
I'm fine, and actually it's great that you're running a little bit behind because I was on hold with DirecTV because the high-def ball game wasn't on. So I'm back. I still only got the non-high def, but I was scared to death that I was going to have to hang up on them because your phone was going to come. So it's fine with me.
Let's talk about, of course, today, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. They were in action. Joey Logano picked up the win. What was your take on the Sprint Cup Series event?
Well, I thought that it was a weird race at the start and a weird race at the end. For the second time in 2 weeks, somebody was pretty much had the race won, and all of a sudden there was a caution flag. This one in Texas was at least intentionally waived, unlike I don't know what happened at Bristol, but in neither case did it cost the worthy winner the victory. So, but then the race also began with really strange things in that Jimmy Johnson's day was pretty much ruined because his car was attacked by the air dryer and he didn't run into it. But the fact is that this new air dryer apparently sends out such high wind air, hot air, that it damaged the hood of Brad Keselowski's car, and then somehow the windshield of Johnson's car got caved in, and so and a few others had problems because of basically going by that dryer, it caused dents on the right side of their car, which is one of the strangest things. Well, it's not as strange as a driver running into a dryer, but and then of course the next thing was I think the second green flag lap, Dale Earnhardt Jr. crashed very, very hard, in which he sort of inexplicably drove into the grass and his car shot into the wall. And it's very unusual. He took the blame. It was all his fault. He didn't say he had a blown tire or anything. It's very unusual for a driver that good to make a mistake like that.
Are you surprised so far? We've had 7 races. We've had 7 different winners and seven different pole winners.
I'm a little bit surprised, but it's not unprecedented. There were 10 straight winners in 2000 and 9 in 2003. My attitude about this is that I always think that a lot of what people write this time of year is ridiculous. And people are saying that there might be more than, 16 winners. And if there's more than 16 winners in 26 races, then to me, I would suspect it was rigged. And I don't suspect it's rigged, but I mean, the big deal is this. There's 7 different winners, but there really haven't been any unexpected winners. I think you figured Kurt Busch was going to win when he got in better equipment. I think that Dale Earnhardt Jr. was certainly due. I don't think there's been a surprise. It's just that 7 different guys have won. And Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson haven't won at all. And I'll bet you those 2 win 2 between now and then. So it is an anomaly. It is exciting. But I do not believe that there's going to be somebody who wins a race and doesn't make the chase because there's too many. The other weird thing about it, by the way, is the fact that 7 different guys have won races, and yet first and second in points, those points, the things that they used to matter, are guys who haven't won. Because Jordan is leading the points right now, and he hasn't won a race.
We're talking with Monte Dutton. You can check out his blog at montedutton.com. And, Monte, I am joined here tonight, of course, my regular co-host, Rocket Rick Rotundo, the 2013 NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour champion, Ryan Preece, and the 2013 SK Light Modified champion from Stafford Motor Speedway, Tony Membrino Jr. And I know you follow the Modifieds when you can. Did you get a chance to see the Modified race from Thompson yesterday on fanschoicetv.com?
No, I probably should have because of all the rain there. I guess the last time that I watched the Modifieds was down at Daytona.
Okay, the Battle at the Beach, and Ryan and I, we talked about that earlier. What did you think of that race, by the way?
Oh, I always think, to me, what I love about Modifieds is this comes from years of occasionally seeing them at places like Richmond and then often seeing them in New Hampshire, is that to me, watching a Modified race at New Hampshire is like watching a Cup race at Talladega. To me, it's that breathtaking. And so I'm a big fan. I think it just kind of, Modifieds were really the number 1 division of NASCAR when it was formed, because the strictly stock division took a few years to take off. Really, what NASCAR was originally all about was modified racing, and so I think it's I think it's a sport. You never see modified fans who aren't very knowledgeable. You see a lot of Cup fans who don't know anything. They get upset if there's 3 laps without a wreck or something. But I think modified fans is kind of like kind of like the baseball fans at some of the most traditional cities, And so I'm a big fan of modifieds.
Hey, Monte, I'm running short on time tonight. If you're available next Monday night, I'd like to bring you back and go over some other things that I've had written down. But before we go, I'd like to talk to you about Kyle Larson. Can he win a Cup race in 2014?
I wouldn't bet on it, but I think he very definitely could. I would not. I'd say it's about 50-50, but he definitely can. I think he's right on track to do it, and I think that there's 2 guys. It's funny. I wish that I had said this on a radio show like yours, but about a month ago, one of my best friends and I were talking, and I said that there's a lot of good young drivers, but the only 2 I can tell you right now that are going to be big are Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. Well, I'm looking pretty good with that right now.
Certainly are, as Chase Elliott.
Enough that I have seen enough that I believe. The first time I looked at Larson, the first time I looked at Jimmy Johnson, I didn't think he was going to win 6 championships. It's not like I'm some great judge of talent, but I was just about a month ago, I was saying that in my mind there's no doubt that they're both going to be stars.
Okay. Monte, are you available next Monday night so we can continue our conversation?
I can't think that far ahead, but I don't see why I wouldn't be.
All right.
I believe
and I'll touch base with you, during the week, and we'll get a time, because I want to go over a lot more things with you, because you are a very knowledgeable guy when it comes to auto racing, and really appreciate your time and being on the show. So we'll talk next Monday night.
Okay, I'm flattered that you wanted me on. Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome. Monte Dutton joining us on this edition of Speedway Line Report Radio, and we'll get him back on next Monday night. Big thank you to our guest tonight, Ryan Preece, Tony Membrino Jr. We heard from Woody Pitkat. We heard from David Gravel. Just heard from Monte Dutton, and, of course, a drive-by by Scott Fern. We are back with you each and every Monday night from 6 to 7:30 p.m. If you'd like to revisit this show, all you have to do is go to SpeedwayLineReport.com. Speedway Line Report Radio is presented to you by Shaler Acura of Manchester, Connecticut, along with Embroidery Works, Jim's Lawn Care Service, and Grotto Restaurant. For all of us here at Speedway Line Report Radio, I'm Gary Danko. I ask you, please support your short tracks and your regional racing. For all of us, once again, I'm Gary Danko. Good night.